trying to make this work on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and the gods of the internet just don't want that to happen. So I think I'm mostly going to be talking to Instagram Live today, and that is you. So here we are. Um, so as per usual, I'm going to be here just chatting about all things tarot. And I also wanted to say that you can, this can be a Q&A. If you just have tarot related questions, you can ask. I will be doing one free speed read for anyone I haven't read for before who shows up here with a question about their life, who would like to ask the tarot something. I can't believe how this didn't work. Or maybe it is working. Hi, YouTube, if it is. Hi, Laura. Hi, Matt. Excited to see you guys. Two things. One is that if you prefer me to read you, do a full in-depth reading, and you want to do this privately, you can schedule readings with me at cleartarotnyc.com. And something else that I will think of again later that I forgot to tell you. So I think the thing I wanted to chat about today is something, when I do readings for people, there's always kind of two things going on. There's like, tell me about my life and answer my question. And then there's like, why did you say that? How are you doing it? What does that card mean? And sometimes I say, okay, let me just finish talking to you about your life, and then later we can talk about why I said it and how I did it. And I always send people pictures of their spread afterwards so they can spend time with the images. And I know that sometimes they go to the internet and look up the meanings of the card and try to compare and contrast, and at least once come back to me and say, well, I read, that the Chariot means this, and I don't understand why you said blah, blah, blah. And so I want to address that a little bit. And also say that this is a little bit like going to WebMD to research your symptoms after you see a doctor, not that I am a doctor. And I guess we're going to title this spiel, what does this card mean is not a good question. And this, I guess, is for the tarot curious out there, but also I think it just applies to other things in life. And there's two reasons for that, right? One is, these are 78 pictures that humans made at some point that speak to our lives and are archetypal, that is universal, have resonance for all humans, are about being human alive on this earth. And yes, as such, have generally like agreed upon meanings, essences, groups of words that could describe them. Can we communicate about the tarot without using words? Of course not, because we're human. But if you know me, you'll know that I am very wary of the little booklet that comes with your pack of tarot cards, which has a helpful glossary with definitions of each card. So if we go to the definitions that are out there and memorize them, I think we're kind of selling ourselves short. And something I like to just say to keep in mind is that, of course, we need words to talk about them. However, if the words in the little booklet or on the internet posting or whatever it was were actually enough to capture what's going on in any of these incredibly layered images, those words would be on the card. And they're not. There's a picture on the card. It's a visual medium. It's meant to kind of bypass your words and your intellectual mind and speak directly to your soul. It's meant to make you feel something, recognize something, come up with a thought about something. It's there to trigger your thoughts, feelings, brilliance, intuition, and ideas. So I always say just take the definitions with a grain of salt, because if tarot were a matter of like, we all look up the definition in a book and memorize it and then apply it to everything we say, I'm not sure that would be as powerful as this tool actually is. And the other reason I say it is because the meaning of the card, like, what does this mean? Okay, death means change. The Fool means adventure and freedom. That's not the only ingredient in a reading. It's not the only thing that makes tarot and makes it work. For one thing, there is something called a spread. It's the pattern that the reader puts the cards out in. And so things like this that show up in certain positions, seeing an image in your long past has a very different meaning than seeing it in your future or your right now position. It has a very different meaning, possibly connected to whatever question you had or the area of your life we're looking at. So context, and the other thing is the most important ingredient of all, synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. Whatever the mystery is, the force in nature that brings together a certain reader with a certain client on a certain day to address a certain question. And I think there's like, you have to know the meanings. You have to train yourself in what these suggest and what they're about. Absolutely. But you don't train yourself to know the meanings so that then you can just repeat the meanings back to your client. You train yourself to understand the meanings so that you're ready when you look at the landscape of the spread itself to start talking to them about their lives. So yeah, that was the spiel that I wanted to give today. This is usually a live stream in which I say I'm showing up. I'm here for whoever has a question and wants to put a question in the chat. You can also book with me. Sorry, technical difficulties. At cleartarotnyc.com. And I will speed read for whoever shows up first. But I think this is a quiet day with not a lot of people showing up. So I'm going to wrap this up in a minute. And you can reach out to me privately with your question, and we will talk about that. I always think there's going to be some rainy Friday where nobody has any questions and no one's here, except for me, Matt, and Laura, who are hanging out. I'm going to do something that I don't really believe in just because we're here, and why not? You ever see like readers do card pulls where we look at the day and we pull a card and it goes against everything that I think about context? But since we're here, I'm going to look at February 17th and I'm going to pull a card and we're going to see what it has to say for us. And because we're all here together and because synchronicity, it will have resonance for some of us, for the way we're going into the weekend, for the way that this afternoon is going to go. Okay. And we're looking at my favorite card. I did not plan this. Another thing, you guys, that clients say to me is like, how did you pick which cards were going in the spread? Synchronicity. I don't pick them. You don't pick them. What picks them? Exactly. We don't know. And that's what makes it important. Skeptics say the randomness is why tarot doesn't work. I say the randomness is the whole point. We look at the pattern that falls in front of us that we have no control over, and we look for meaning. And that was a siren. And that meaning helps us make decisions and think about our lives. There's another spiel about why I don't read for myself anymore and why I recommend you work with a reader, because we have zero perspective on our own situations. But that's for another time. Anyway, how beautiful is this? My favorite card, number 14, the star. And what this says to me, my friends, is that this card, quote unquote, the meaning of this card, the associations with this card are the deepest, most real, most authentic and truest parts of ourselves. If we stripped away all cultural conditioning, all baggage, all everything, and just came to the part of us that is divine and that is true and is like who we were when we were 5 and the parts of us that have not changed since then, we have the star. It's a major card. It's not a minor card. The major cards are governed by forces outside of ourselves. Going into the weekend, I would say this is a beautiful reminder that this is in there, and that what is going to serve us well, first of all, is telling the truth. There's great integrity with the star, but also joy. I feel like this is a really nice card to say that the rest of the day going into the weekend is what is the old reliable thing that has always given us joy, that always puts us in touch with our true selves, and factor that into the next couple of days. But you don't actually have to try that hard because it's going to float. It's a major card. It's going to float up to you. So this is if I was going to throw some words around, I would say authenticity, purity, honesty, truth. What really, as I've heard many people say, gives you spoons. That comes from the story that I'm going to completely forget, but it has to do with someone with a chronic disease saying, imagine like this big pile of spoons, and every spoon represents some degree of energy that you start your day with. And then everything you do throughout the day takes away a spoon. And this woman was saying with this chronic issue, she starts the day with about 5 spoons, and people without the chronic health issue start the day with 30 spoons. Anyway, so it's become, since I heard this, a way of talking about what adds energy to my life rather than depletes it. What gives you spoons? What adds to your energy and your will to live and your motivation, and make sure that's coming into your life. And you don't have to look for it. It's already in you. Just get in touch with it. And that is the theme of the weekend, is this beautiful star. Anyway, thanks for listening. We had a quiet day today. I'll be back next week for Free Tarot Fridays. cleartarotnyc.com. My name is Rebecca Hart. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. Bye. and goodbye to you.